The stars around the border system were quiet, but the silence felt heavy. Space usually carried motion, light, and distant signals, yet here there was only darkness and waiting. Slowly, something large moved through the void. It did not shine like other ships. It absorbed light as if the stars themselves avoided it. The human warship drifted forward with calm control. It was longer than any cruiser the Council had ever recorded. Its hull was layered, dark gray and black, covered with marks that told stories of past battles. This ship was not built for beauty. It was built to last. Inside the command deck, Captain Jiho stood with his hands behind his back. He was not old, but his face carried the weight of long decisions and hard losses. His eyes stayed on the main display, where distant Council sensors blinked like nervous eyes. "Any message?" Jiho asked. Tactical Officer Day shook his head. "Nothing official, but scans show increased activity. They are watching us closely." Engineer Hana sat at her station, fingers moving across glowing panels. "They always watch us," she said quietly. "They just pretend not to fear us." Jiho did not answer right away. He remembered the first time humans reached the stars. Back then, their ships were small and fragile. They believed the galaxy would welcome them. Instead, they found borders, warnings, and silent threats. The Interstellar Council ruled most known space. It was made of many species, some ancient, some powerful, all cautious. To them, humans were too fast, too emotional, and too willing to fight when cornered. Humans were given limited systems and strict rules. For a time, humanity followed those rules. Then the attacks began. Human colonies on the edge of Council space were raided by unknown forces. The Council called them local disputes and refused to act. Ships were lost. Civilians died. Entire stations went dark. Humans asked for help and received silence. That was when the warship was approved, not by the Council, but by humanity itself. Back on the command deck, a soft alert sounded. Hannah looked up. Long-range signal incoming. Council frequency. Day straightened. On screen, the image formed slowly. Several alien figures appeared, seated in a wide chamber. Their shapes were different, some tall and thin, others wide and heavy. At the center sat the speaker, its face unreadable. "This is the Interstellar Council," the speaker said. "Human vessel, you have entered a restricted observation zone. Identify yourself and state your purpose." Jiho stepped forward. His voice was steady. "This is a human exploration and defense vessel on patrol. We are operating within permitted lanes." There was a pause. The Council members whispered among themselves. "Your ship does not match any registered human design," the speaker said. "Its mass, energy output, and armor exceed agreed limits." "It was built after those limits failed us," Jiho replied. The words caused visible reaction. Some Council members shifted. Others leaned closer to their displays. "You are not authorized to construct such a vessel," the speaker said. Hannah clenched her jaw, but said nothing. Day's hand hovered near control switches. Ready but restrained, Jiho kept his tone calm. "We did not ask permission to survive." Silence followed. The Council ended the transmission without another word. Around the ship, sensors picked up more movement. Distant fleets adjusted position. Scanning beams brushed against the hull, but failed to read its systems. The warship remained steady, like a mountain in space. Honey exhaled slowly. "They are scared." "They should be," Day said. "They pushed us into this." Jiho turned to face them. "We did this so no human would ever have to beg again. But we will not fire unless forced." The crew nodded. They trusted him. Every person on the ship knew what it represented. It was not just metal and weapons. It was memory. Deep within the ship, power cores hummed. Defensive systems stayed active but silent. The ship could unleash destruction beyond known standards, yet it waited not far away. Inside the council chamber, fear grew. They built it in secret, one delegate said. If this is one ship, how many more do they have? They adapt too quickly, another said. This vessel breaks balance. The balance already broke, a quieter voice answered, when we ignored their losses. But fear spoke louder than reason. The council ordered deeper scans. Probes were launched. None returned usable data. Some vanished completely. Reports spread through council space. Merchants whispered about a human ship that could not be seen clearly. Soldiers spoke of a shadow that moved without sound. Smaller species watched closely. Hope and fear mixed together. On the warship, Jiho received internal reports. Everything was stable. No damage. No escalation. He looked out at the stars. They will decide soon, he said. Decide what? Hana asked. Whether we are a warning, Jiho said, or a target. The ship continued its slow path forward, unchallenged but unwelcome. Every second stretched the tension tighter. Humanity had shown its strength, not through attack, but through presence. And somewhere in the vast council records, a new label was being written. Threat. That not because the human warship had fired a weapon, but because, for the first time, the galaxy realized humans could no longer be controlled. The council chamber was filled with uneasy movement. Lights floated above smooth stone walls, reflecting off the different shapes of the delegates. No one spoke at first. The silence felt tight, like something ready to break. The image of the human warship hung in the center of the room. It rotated slowly, dark and unreadable. No clear scans, no weak points, no known systems. Just a shape that refused to explain itself. The humans have crossed a line, one delegate said at last. They were granted limited travel, not freedom to build weapons of this scale. Another leaned forward. They claim it is defensive, but all weapons are called defensive by those who hold them. A softer voice replied, then why did it not fire? Our fleets moved close enough to provoke a response? Fear answered that question instead of logic. They are waiting, someone said. That makes it worse. Far away, the human warship remained still. Inside, Captain Jiho sat at the long table in the briefing room. Around him were senior officers and crew leaders. The ship moved on slow patrol, but everyone felt the pressure growing. They will not accept our explanation, they said. They already decided what we are. Hana rested her hands on the table. They fear what they cannot measure. This ship breaks their rules because their rules were built without us in mind. Jiho listened. He had seen this pattern before. Humans were allowed to exist only as long as they stayed small. A new message arrived. This time, it was not a call, but an order. The Interstellar Council demanded full technical disclosure of the ship. Power systems, weapon range, armor composition. They demanded human engineers be sent to a neutral station for inspection. It's a trap, Day said immediately. Yes, Jiho agreed. They want control, not understanding. Human command transmitted up. Response soon after. Calm, respectful, firm. They refused to dismantle the ship or expose its core systems. They reminded the Council of lost colonies and unanswered pleas. The Council replied with silence. Days passed. During that time, stories spread through known space. Merchants talked of the human vessel that scanners could not see through. Traders said it moved like it knew where danger would be before it appeared. Smaller species listened closely. Many of them had suffered under council rule. Their worlds taxed, their defenses limited, their voices ignored. They saw something different in the human ship. It did not patrol like a ruler. It watched like a guardian dot inside the warship. Tension slowly wore on the crew. Hannah spent long hours monitoring systems. The ship was powerful, But even it had limits. Running at full readiness, drained reserves. G. Ho walked the decks often. He spoke to pilots, engineers, medics. He reminded them why they were here. We are not here to threaten, he said. We are here so no one can threaten us. One night cycle. An alert broke the routine. Multiple council fleets were mobilizing. They moved under the label of an inspection force. But their formations were combat-ready. Weapon ports were open. Shield signatures flared. They watched the tactical display. They are coming in too tight. Too fast. Hana's voice was low. They expect us to react badly. Jiho straightened. Then we disappoint them. The human warship adjusted its position slightly, placing itself between the incoming fleets and nearby civilian traffic lanes. Human cargo ships, independent traders, even alien transports were moving through the area. The council fleet slowed. This is an order. A council commander transmitted. Power down and prepare for boarding. Jiho responded calmly. Negative. We are holding position to protect civilian vessels. We will not fire unless fired upon. The council ships spread out, trying to surround the warship. Their scans intensified. Probes launched. Several probes vanished. Others returned nothing but static. Inside the council fleets, confusion spread. Their weapon systems could not lock properly. Targeting data shifted without reason. They are interfering with us, one commander shouted. No, another replied. They are simply there. The first shot was not fired by humans. A council cruiser released a warning blast that struck the human ship's outer shield. The impact lit the void with energy. The shield did not break. It did not even flicker. On the human warship, alarms stayed silent. Hana checked readings twice. No damage, she said. Jiho closed his eyes briefly. Return warning response. Minimal output. The ship released a focused energy pulse. It struck the cruiser's weapon array and shut it down completely. No explosion. No loss of life. The message was clear. The council fleets hesitated. Some pulled back. Others fired again. This time, the human ship moved. Not fast. Not aggressively. It shifted position with impossible smoothness, placing itself between attacks and civilians. Each hostile shot was met with precise countermeasures. Engines disabled. Weapons silenced. Ships left drifting but intact. Across the sector, observers watched in disbelief. The human ship did not chase. It did not destroy. It controlled the battlefield without rage. Inside the council chamber, panic rose. This was not expected, a delegate said. They could have wiped the fleet, another whispered. But they didn't, the quiet voice returned. The battle ended as quickly as it began. Council ships retreated, damaged and shaken. The human warship remained. Jiho watched the retreating signals. Record everything, he said. Let the galaxy see. As silence returned, messages began to arrive, not from the council, from others. Small ships sent cautious signals of thanks. A few alien captains expressed respect. One message stood out. You protected us, it said. No one ever did before. Jiho stared at the words. Far away, the council convened again. Their conclusion was no longer debate. The human warship was no longer a concern. It was a threat, not because of what it destroyed. But because of what it refused to do. The space around the human warship slowly returned to calm, but the calm did not bring peace. Broken council ships drifted at a distance, their engines silent. Rescue signals moved through the dark, picked up by nearby traffic. The human ship did not interfere. It watched. Inside the command deck, Captain Jiho remained standing. His eyes followed the last retreating council signal until it vanished. They will not forget this, Day said quietly. No, Jiho replied. They will change their plan. Hannah checked the systems again. Power levels are stable. Shields barely dropped. But they are learning. They will not make the same mistakes. Jiho nodded. Neither will we. Messages flooded in from human command. Some praised restraint. Others warned of escalation. Beyond human channels, unofficial signals arrived from alien ships and hidden. Relays. Most were careful. Short, afraid. The meaning was clear. The council was no longer trusted. In the council chamber. Panic hid behind strong words. Delegates argued openly now. Some demanded full war. Others called the battle a failure of planning. They humiliated us, one shouted. They spared us, another answered. That is not the same thing. They turned our fleet into an example. Yes, the quiet voice said again. An example of mercy. That word angered many. The galaxy does not run on mercy, a delegate said. It runs on control. The speaker raised a limb for silence. The human vessel represents an unknown risk. It disrupts balance. It inspires defiance. A vote was called. The decision was made. The human warship and its crew are declared an active threat to galactic stability. Any species offering aid would be punished. Any human military presence outside approved zones would be treated as hostile. The order spread fast. On the human warship, the declaration arrived moments later. Day read it aloud, his voice tight. They want us isolated, Hannah said. They want others too afraid to speak. Jiho took a slow breath. Fear is their last weapon. Human command ordered the ship to withdraw toward neutral space. Avoid full war. Protect civilians when possible. Jiho accepted the orders, but he did not rush. The warship changed course, moving toward the outer systems. Its path was slow and clear. It did not hide. Along the way, they saw the cost of council rule. A trade station burned in silence. Its defense grid disabled for non-compliance. Refugee ships crowded safe routes, their crews exhausted. Patrols passed without stopping. Jiho watched from the observation deck. We cannot save everyone, he said softly, but we can save some. Hannah replied. The first request came from a small convoy trapped near a disputed border. Council forces blocked the lane, claiming inspection rights. The convoy carried food and medical supplies. Jiho did not hesitate. The human warship altered course. Council patrol ships moved to intercept. Their weapons armed, but they did not fire. Memories of the last encounter were still fresh. This is Council-controlled space, a commander transmitted. Turn back. Jiho answered calmly. We are escorting civilian traffic. We will pass. The human ship did not accelerate. It simply continued. The patrol ships broke formation and pulled away. The convoy passed safely. Word spread. Soon, more requests followed. Quiet ones. Hidden ones. Ships that had no flag strong enough to protect them. Jiho chose carefully. He did not want war, but he would not allow fear to rule him. Each escort weakened the Council's image. Each act of protection strengthened humanity's. Inside the ship, the strain grew. Long hours. Constant alerts. Hannah slept in short cycles. Day barely left the tactical station. One cycle, Hannah confronted Jiho. We cannot keep this pace forever, she said. The ship can handle it, but the crew, I know, Jiho said. But if we stop now, everything we showed them means nothing. She nodded slowly. Just promise me you won't forget the people behind the symbol. I won't, he said. Far from them, the council prepared a new response. Not fleets. Not open battle. Pressure. They restricted trade with human systems. They froze shared research. They spread warnings of human aggression. Some species listened. Others remembered the drifting ships, left alive. In one hidden system, leaders of smaller worlds met in secret. They spoke of protection and fairness. They spoke of the human warship they could have ruled by. Force, one said, but they didn't. Another replied, "Hope is dangerous." Council knew this. So they planned something final, a joint strike masked as an accident, a heavy weapons test near civilian lanes. If the human ship intervened, it would be blamed for destruction. The trap was set. On the human warship, they noticed unusual fleet movements. Too many ships. Too close to traffic. They are setting us up, he said. Ji-ho studied the data. Yes. Do we avoid it? Hana asked. Ji-ho looked at the projected civilian paths. Hundreds of lives. No, he said. We walk into it. The warship moved forward. Council ships began their weapons test. Energy built fast. Too fast. Ji-ho opened all channels. Ceasefire. Civilians present. No response. The weapons fired. The human ship surged ahead. Shields expanded far beyond normal limits, covering civilian vessels. The impact hit like a star breaking. Systems screamed. Lights flickered. Hana fought to keep balance. We're pushing past safety margins. Hold. Ji-ho said. The shields held. As civilian ships escaped, the council ships recorded everything. But so did everyone else. The truth spread faster than the lies. The human warship drifted afterward. Scarred but standing, Ji-ho watched damage reports. They wanted us to fall, he said. They failed, they replied. Yes, Ji-ho said. But now they are afraid of what we represent. Beyond the hull, stars burned quietly. Humanity was no longer a question. It was an answer. The damage to the human warship was visible, but it was not broken. Scorch marks spread across the outer hull, and several systems rested in low power mode. Still, the ship moved with steady control. It did not run. It did not hide. News of what happened traveled faster than any council message. Recordings of the shield expansion, the civilian escape, and the council weapons fire spread across open channels. Many species watched in silence. Some watched with anger. Others watched with hope. Inside the ship, repair crews worked without pause. Hana moved from section to section, checking reports and speaking to engineers. Her face showed exhaustion, but her voice stayed calm. We lost 2 secondary relays, she said to Ji-ho. Main systems are holding. The ship protected everyone, but we pushed it hard. Ji-ho nodded. You did well. We all did, she replied. But next time, the council will push harder. They joined them, his expression serious. They are changing tactics. No large fleets. No direct orders. They are isolating us. Reports confirmed it. Trade routes near human space were closing. Neutral stations refused docking permission to human ships. Council broadcasts warned of human expansion and instability. They are trying to turn fear into truth, they said. Ji-ho looked at the star map. Fear only works when people feel alone. As if answering him, a new signal arrived. It was not council-coded. It was weak and carefully hidden. A small coalition of non-council worlds requested contact. Ji-ho allowed the channel. Several figures appeared on screen. Different species. Different shapes. Their faces carried caution, but also resolve. We saw what you did, one of them said. You could have let those ships die. You didn't. Another spoke. The council never protected us. They only punished us when we asked for help. Ji-ho listened without interrupting. We do not want war, a third said. But we cannot survive alone. If the council turns on us, we have nothing. Silence followed. Ji-ho answered slowly. We will not rule you. We will not demand loyalty. But if civilians are threatened, we will not look away. That was enough. The signal ended. After that, more followed. Quiet requests. Shared data. Offers of supply routes and hidden repair yards. Nothing formal. Nothing loud. The galaxy was shifting. Inside the council chamber, anger replaced confidence. Delegates argued over lost influence. Sanctions failed to stop sympathy for humans. They are becoming a symbol, one said. That must be destroyed. The ship survived our test, another replied. A direct attack risks exposure. Then we erase it quietly, a third suggested. The plan was simple. Draw the human warship far from support. Lure it into deep space with false distress signals. Then deploy a weapon banned even by council law. An accident. On the human warship, they detected unusual patterns. Emergency beacons appeared in an uncharted region. Too many, too close together. It feels staged, he said. Hana frowned at the data. Energy readings don't match standard distress calls. Jiho considered the map. The region was empty. No trade lanes. No colonies. It's a trap, they said. Yes, Jiho replied. But if even one of those calls is real, we cannot ignore it. The ship changed course. As it entered the empty region, space felt wrong. Sensors reported distortion. Communication lag increased. Hana's fingers moved fast. Something is interfering with local physics. Then it appeared. A massive energy field ignited ahead, invisible until it wasn't. It expanded like a wall, cutting off retreat. Council signature, they said. Unknown weapon. The field pressed against the ship's shields. Not with force, but with weight. Systems strained. Shields dropping slowly, Hana warned. This isn't an attack. It's containment. Council messages arrived. Cold and formal. You have entered a restricted zone. Power down. Surrender for the safety of the galaxy. Jiho looked around the bridge. Faces stared back at him. Tired, determined. No, he said. The pressure increased. The ship groaned. Power cores surged to compensate. Hana swallowed. If this continues, we risk core damage. Jiho nodded. Then we adapt. He ordered a system shift never tested in open space. The ship reconfigured its internal energy flow, redistributing power through layers meant only for emergencies. The warship did not break. Instead, it changed. The containment field flickered. Not enough to escape, but enough to move. Day smiled for the first time in days. They didn't plan for that. The ship surged forward, riding the edge of the field. The strain was extreme. Alarms filled the bridge. Hana fought to keep systems balanced. We can hold for minutes, not longer. Jiho saw an opening. A narrow gap where the field was weakest. Prepare to push, he said. The warship focused everything into movement. The field shattered. Energy washed across space, bright and violent. Council monitoring stations recorded the event. So did everyone else. The human warship emerged on the other side, damaged but free. Council ships withdrew immediately. Inside the ship, crew members collapsed into chairs. Some laughed. Some cried quietly. Hana leaned back, exhausted. They tried to erase us. And failed, they said. Jiho looked at the stars ahead. Messages were already arriving. Support, offers, voices that no longer whispered. The council's last secret weapon had been revealed. Their authority cracked. The human warship continued forward, no longer alone. The galaxy was watching now, and the council knew something they feared most. They could no longer control the story. The galaxy did not return to how it was. After the containment field failed, nothing could be hidden anymore. Records spread across open networks. Footage of the council weapon, the trap, and the human escape reached worlds that had never questioned authority before. For the first time in a long age, people talked openly. Inside the human warship, repairs continued as the ship moved through quiet space. The hull bore scars, but the core was strong. Systems that had never been used together before now worked in balance. Captain, Jiho stood on the bridge and watched the stars pass. Messages waited for him, more than he could answer at once. Some were from human command. Others were from worlds that had once stayed silent. Day reviewed reports at the tactical station. Council patrols are pulling back, he said. They are avoiding us. Not just us, everyone. Hannah smiled faintly. Fear works both ways. Human command sent clear orders. Avoid conquest. Avoid escalation. Protect life when possible. Humanity did not want to replace one ruler with another, agreed with that choice. The warship changed its route and moved along busy trade corridors. It stayed visible. It did not threaten. It simply existed where violence often happened. When pirates attacked a fuel convoy, the warship appeared between them and their target. The pirates fled without firing a shot. When a border patrol tried to seize a medical transport, the warship transmitted a single warning. The patrol backed down. No one wanted to test it again. Across council space, meetings fell apart. Some member worlds refused orders. Others delayed payments and inspections. The speaker's words no longer carried weight. A formal council session was called. Attendance was the lowest in recorded history. They are destabilizing everything, one delegate said. No, another replied. They are revealing what was already unstable. The quiet voice spoke again. We called them a threat because they would not obey. No one answered that. The council released a final declaration. It accused humanity of spreading chaos and declared all human military assets illegal. The declaration was ignored. On a distant world, leaders from many small systems gathered in person. No council flags flew above the meeting hall. They spoke of shared defense and open trade. They spoke of the human warship, not as a weapon. As a promise. Inside the warship, the crew felt the change. Fewer alarms. Fewer traps. More honest signals. Hannah began planning safer versions of the ship's systems. If others build like this, she said, they shouldn't need to push so far. They trained mixed crews during downtime, sharing tactics focused on defense and restraint. Different species learned side by side. Jiho watched them and felt something unfamiliar. Hope. One cycle. A council envoy requested contact. Not the speaker. Not a fleet commander. Just a messenger. The figure on screen looked tired. The council wishes to negotiate, the envoy said. Terms of coexistence. Jiho listened. The galaxy has already chosen coexistence, he replied. The council needs to decide if it wants to be part of it. The envoy said nothing more. After that, the council's influence faded quietly. There was no final battle. No grand collapse. Just fewer orders followed. Fewer ships answering calls. History does not always end with fire. Sometimes it ends with being ignored. The human warship continued its patrols, not as an enforcer, but as a guardian. It responded to distress calls when others would not. It left when its presence was no longer needed. Stories followed it. Some called it a monster, more called it a shield. Jiho stood alone in the observation deck near the end of a long patrol. The stars looked the same as always, but the silence felt lighter. Hannah joined him. Do you ever think about how close it came? She asked. All the time, Jiho said. And if you had fired first? He shook his head. Then we would have proven them right. Day's voice came over the intercom. Incoming message. Civilian convoy requesting escort. Non-human. Jiho smiled. Set course, he said. The warship turned smoothly and moved forward. Far behind them. The council chamber sat quiet. Its lights dimmed. Its seats empty. The galaxy moved on. Humans were no longer underestimated. They were no longer feared for their rage. They were respected for their restraint. And the warship once declared a threat to all drifted through the stars. powerful and calm, not as a symbol of war, but as proof that when pushed too far, humanity would rise not to rule, but to endure.